What's happening, guys? Classic Chris here. I've been getting a lot of tweets and DMs asking me how I got in the wrestling business, becoming a wrestling commentator. So I figured instead of writing a whole bunch of tweets and doing a bunch of DMs, that this is the best way to do it. I'd sit down, record a video, and just explain to you guys how it all began, how I got into the wrestling business, and where I am today. So basically, it all started off in 2013. A company, Neo Wrestling Federation, run by Jesse Scott, Tiberius King, to anyone that knows him on the indie circuit. Great wrestler, good friend of mine. Went to high school with him. But he was running a company called Neo Wrestling Federation. And I literally have gone to a lot of the shows. Like, I think I didn't miss a show that year for for late 2012 to 2013. I went to every single Neo show. And that guy knows that I bled wrestling. Like, I grew up watching wrestling since I was 4 years old. Him and we used to chop each other in the hallways of our old high school when we grew up. So we go way back, and they did a whole bunch of shows, and I technically they were moving towards doing live commentary. And a good friend of mine, a guy on the roster, Jackson Jarvis, a good friend of mine, I grew up with him. He lived across the street from me. And he knows just as much as just as well as Jesse how much I loved wrestling and how much passion I have for the business. So he asked me, he's like, "Hey, we're switching over to live commentary." The guy that currently does our commentary right now, a good friend of mine, Jay Moore, the infamous Jay Moore. He was on the episode 1 of the Classic Chris show. He managed a lot of guys on the roster. Basically, he managed the world champion Tyson Dukes, the tag champions Scotty Turner and Andrew Davis. He managed Cody Deaner, and those are the big heels on the roster. And there's so many, and he was out there for all of those matches. So for them to do live commentary, he didn't really have time to be out there and to be in the back so he can know what's going on for the matches. Like, know his spots, go over the match with the guys and everything like that. So Jackson threw my name in the hat, and Tiberius, or Jesse, was awesome. He gave me a shot. They had me in for their first show at the Niagara Falls Sportsplex. It was just a dome stadium. I'm sure you've seen it, Art of War. That was my first show in June. That was fun. That was really fun. I enjoyed myself. I felt confident. I was comfortable. I wasn't comfortable at first, though. I was pretty nervous before the show started, like, getting ready, putting on the tie, button-up shirt. Gotta look good. That's before I even had the classic Chris blazer that I have now. Love that jacket. And so, yeah, it was the first show at our new venue, and we had Rhino on the main event. Everyone knows Rhino from ECW, last credible ECW champion. He was just he was fighting Cody Deaner and Tyson Dukes. Rhino teamed up with Primo Scordino, one of the Italianos, a big tag team in Niagara. So they were fighting each other, and Rhino basically gave me some advice. He noticed that I was new, and he actually said, "Hey, you're new around here, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my first show. I'm a commentator. I'm doing the color, so I'm basically the heel, so I got to go out there, and it's my first show. I'm kind of nervous because I wanted to be in the wrestling business so bad, and this is my shot. It's kind of like, the kid in the minors getting called up to the majors, his first big game, or, the first time coming up in the NHL. I didn't want to blow my chance. It was the first chance I got. They gave me the ball, and I wanted to run with it. I wanted to prove that their trust in me was valid. Like, they had every right to put their trust into me, to put on a good show, and I hope I did. I enjoyed it. Rhino basically told me, he's like, "Just don't worry, man. Just go out there, be yourself. You're a heel. Crack some jokes." He was fucking awesome. Pardon my French there, but he was awesome. He if it wasn't, I guess it was like that little pep talk, even though it was like a couple of, like, it was like a quick minute or so, but that really did a lot to boost my confidence and get me ready for the show. So I went out with my commentating partner, Topher Whiteman, great play-by-play guy. He's the first guy I worked with. I've done 99% of my shows with him. and he called the show pretty good, made it easy for me to come in. He basically showed me the ropes, so I got to thank Topher for that. He basically he helped me out a lot for my commentary, and not a lot of people know that, so I'm giving shout out to Topher Whiteman right there. Thanks a lot there, buddy. Helped out a lot. We did we did the dark matches that weren't going to go on TV, but we went out there with the recorder and everything, and just to do it. And we had a good flow going. It was I still didn't have my character yet, but I was getting there. Like there's flashes of of classic Chris in that show, but it wasn't full in character. Actually, that one was pretty good. I enjoyed that show a lot. Like that's right. I had a couple of good one-liners. The one-liners just come off the top of my head. A lot of people ask me that, like, hey, do you write out your jokes or anything? No, it's observational humor. If I see something and I think of something that's going to make me laugh, I just blurt it out. I think I have joke Tourette's. So that's basically how the one-liners come about. Or for everyone knows that I'm Canadian, I can say a boot. I can say that for you guys. Do one of those. But yeah, the first show went over really good. The first match I called that was recorded, I uploaded, is Tyler Turva versus Psycho Mike. Tyler Turva, very entertaining wrestler, good heel, I like him. And Psycho Mike, good up-and-comer, good powerhouse at the time. He was very agile for a big guy, so made, when two guys are working in the ring that are good together, it just makes my job easier as a commentator, because it makes it so much easier to talk as you're being entertained. It's like when you see some stuff nowadays and they just come out blah, 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 and they ruin the whole show by talking for the first half hour. Everybody knows where I'm getting at, but I'm not naming names because fuck them. They know who they are. It was easy to do. So basically, the only reason why I got into the wrestling business, which I kind of skipped that and just went on talking about my first show, but basically the way I got my foot in the door was just like pure luck. It was just luck of the draw. I was just lucky enough that they were moving to live commentary because Jay was fucking killing it with Topher when they're doing the post production recording, just like how TNA does it now because they don't record it live, and they were killing it. So I got very lucky that Jackson put my name in the hat, and Jesse's like, yeah, I know this guy, and they both believed in me that I can do it, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today. So thank you, Jesse, and thank you, Jackson Jarvis. Jackson Jarvis was just on Murdoch Mysteries, Crabtree Mania. I suggest you check that out. He's got a very professional mustache. So that's how I got into the business. That was my first show, and now I'm going to talk about the second show I did. And to me, this is my worst show on commentary. I felt so uncomfortable doing it. It was not my cup of tea. In my opinion, after that show, I didn't think I was going to be asked back for the third show. My honest opinion, I was not happy with my commentary at all. For my second show ever, and it's all live commentary. There's no scripts or anything. We had a special guest there. I'm not sure. I know a lot of you know who he is. If you know the indie scenes and even watch some early TNA, but it was Danger Boy Derek Wilde, great wrestler, known throughout Niagara and Neo Wrestling Federation, 5-time Neo Wrestling Federation champion. And that night, he didn't know, but that night was in honor of Derek Wilde. The whole night was in honor of him. We had a wild card tournament to determine the number one contender for the Neo Wrestling Federation championship. That was held by Tyson Dukes, so basically, the winner of that tournament got a shot at his belt at the next show, Crossroads. And then it was also Danger Boy's Hall of Fame induction. He was the first ever guy inducted in the Neo Wrestling Hall of Fame. So that night, you have Topher, Danger Boy, and myself. And Danger Boy is so experienced that he was nailing the fucking commentary. And it kind of made me feel kind of inferior. If it was like pissing contest, he definitely outshot my piss. I was lucky enough that they did the Hall of Fame ceremony, and it kind of gave me some thunder so I can call the main event better. But every match on that card, except for 2, I was not satisfied with my commentary. I think it was atrocious. It was an insult to wrestling commentary, and I was just not a fan of it. I just basically thought it plain out sucked, and I apologize to anybody that's watching those matches because I am uploading every match that I've ever called for, like on my YouTube channel. Check it out. So basically, it was tough. A three-man commentary team is very tough, especially if you're a color guy and the other guy is just nailing it, and the whole night's in honor of him. So basically, I took a backseat to those guys. I'm not complaining because the matches were good. I had the best seat in the house to watch them, and it's just my performance lagged, and there's no excuse for that. But that's why I am very picky on that show. I didn't even want to air those matches, to be honest with you, but I figured, hell, I called them. It's a part of my history, part of my career. People can see the like my evolution as a commentator. So I figured just to throw it in, and I may not be happy, but every performer has something they're not happy with. Every performer has something. There's always one thing that they're like, fuck, I wish I did that one better. And that to me was that. So the night went on without a hitch. It was some great matches there. The finals of the tournament was Tiberius King versus Cody Deaner. Great match. You guys should check it out when it's uploaded. That one, in my opinion, that stole the show. That was a friggin' epic match. Good finals for the tournament. The world title match, Tyson Dukes versus Tony Carboni. It was a grudge match because Dukes injured Carboni at Hardcore Holiday. He hit him with a chair on his recovering leg. I think it was Hardcore Holiday. It was either Hardcore Holiday, no. I believe it was Neo World Order. Yes, the Kevin Nash show where Stickball was hitting the leg, and he with a chair by Tyson Dukes. So he was off for all that time until we got into August for Midsummer's Nightmare, which was a good match. I enjoyed calling it because there's a good story to tell, the rivalry and everything. So a lot of you guys didn't know that. So that's why I'm just letting you know. So when you guys see the match, you'll know the story behind it. So that wraps up my second show, Midsummer's Nightmare 2. Again, I was not happy with myself, but, you're your own worst critic, right? So this brings us to Crossroads, my third show for Neo Wrestling Federation. This one, I was kind of getting back into my groove where I was at the first show. Starting to more establish myself as Classic Chris. It was a good show. I enjoyed that one a lot. Our main event featured Tyson Dukes taking on Cody Deaner for the Neo Wrestling Federation Championship. And this match had a very interesting story going on to it because both guys were managed by the infamous Jay Moore. One guy was the world champion, and Cody Deaner won the tournament to become the number one contender. So Jay Moore is managing both guys, and his stable also has the tag titles, basically. So, basically at the end of the night, no matter what, you're leaving with that world title in your faction. And it just told a great story of the desire to become champion. I'm not going to give away any of the secrets for that match because, heck, you're just going to have to watch the footage and find out who won that match. But it was very entertaining. I loved it. That show, I was starting to get in my groove. The one-liners were coming off more, they're just coming off better, easier with my flow. That's the main thing that you have to have as a commentator because you can't learn personality. You can't learn charisma. That's stuff that you have to have. And to sit there and talk through an entire match, that's where it gets tough. To go out there and do it for every single match, it gets tough. Because a lot of people think, hey, I can do this, but when they go and actually do it, it's silence. There's a lot of dead air, and it's very tough to do. Like sometimes, I've known certain wrestlers that, they just do a guest spot, and they are like, man, I can't believe you guys do this for every match. Like, it shows a respect for, they show an appreciation, not a respect, but appreciation for the commentator. Because, I hate to say it, but in indie wrestling, a lot of times, the commentator gets looked at, as a dirtbag. Basically, we get looked at, low on the food chain. But in all reality, the commentator is one of the biggest parts of the show. Because if no one likes the commentary, it's tough for them to sit through a match. And if you're not entertaining, people are not going to watch. And that's what I try to do. You got to be entertaining. You got to have a flow, and it's basically you got to get into your character. You got to become your character. And with me, the Classic Chris character, I'm an asshole. I can admit it. I am a legitimate asshole. I say things that I normally wouldn't say because I can do that. I'm classic Chris. I don't give a shit what you think. That's what my character is all about. That's who I am. I don't give a shit. You love me, you hate me, I do not care. Either way, you boo me, you cheer me, I'm still sleeping at night. My pillow is right there waiting for me, and I do not care. That is how my character is. I am better than everybody in the world. To me, no, I am better than Taz in TNA. I am better than Taz. I am better than JBL. That's how I feel about me as a character. I am better than all those guys. In fact, the only people I'm not better than is early Jerry the King Lawler, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Jesse Ventura. Those are guys I cannot touch. But Lawler, I'm catching up on you, buddy. I'm not even mentioning your nowadays stuff because I think my Midsummer's Nightmare show will rival your commentary. But Crossroads was a big show for me. That's how I was really getting into my flow. And that was basically one of the last shows that Neo Wrestling produced and distributed on DVD. Because our next show, Prophecy of Pain, it's a lost show. There's only a couple of matches out there. I can't get any of the footage besides those 2 matches that I have. But that was an amazing show. We had a top-notch main event, 2 out of 3 falls for the world title. I love those matches. Again, it shows the drive to become champion. But on that show, that's when it clicked. That's when I really sunk my teeth into it. And that's when Classic Chris became Classic Chris. That's where I got to where I am today. That's where I got my flow. That's where I got everything. Everything happened on Prophecy of Pain. That was hands down at Neo Wrestling Federation. At that moment in time was my best show. I knocked that out of the park in my opinion. I was so excited after doing it. It was just such an energetic high saying, I can't fucking wait to see this footage. I can't wait to hear everything and see it. But long story short, Neo Wrestling Federation took a little hiatus. We had problems with the building and everything that we're running through. So basically, our DVDs would get produced for the next show. And since there was no next show, there was no DVDs. And Neo literally stayed away and didn't have a show for about 6 months. So that ends basically 2013 in December, and they closed the door for 6 months, and that's a long time in the wrestling world. If you're not around for 6 months, really, you got to stay current with what's going around you. You got to stay up to date with the times if you want to succeed in this business. So if you're not relevant, you're done, in my opinion. That if you insult my intelligence, I'm sorry, no one's going to get behind you. And so now I'm getting up to Crossfire Wrestling. This my good friend Jay Moore manages there. He managed the world champion at the time, Tomer Shalom. He has a stable called the Infamous Five that has the likes of the professional Jackson Jarvis, Tomer Shalom, Cody Deaner, Custom Marcus Ryan, Rob Rage, and who else? I think that's all of them. Yeah, Deaner, Tomer, Custom, Jarvis, Rage. Yeah, it seems about right. But so they start doing live commentary for their shows. My friend again, Topher Whiteman got booked there to start calling the play-by-play, and he was doing it with Jay Moore. Something happened at the show where he was doing live commentary, and basically, it's on Jay Moore's channel. Actually, it's a pretty good clip of him with Rob Rage. Jay Moore is doing commentary for the first match, and the tag champions, Revelation, for some reason, they go completely off script or booking, whatever you want to call it. Like, they go completely weird, and they grab the mic, start cutting a promo, and then they get into Jay Moore's face. Well, I don't know if anyone's seen Rob Rage or not, but After the whole Jeremy Elliott, him hopping over the railing and attacking Jay Moore got Rob Rage to be his bodyguard. And since that happened, these guys are getting into Jay's face, so what happens? Rob Rage now has to, do his job as the bodyguard. And he has to defend the guy he's supposed to be the bodyguard for. And Revelation gets into the ring. They, one guy starts, like, whipping the belt at Rob Rage, trying to scare him off, and Rage will have nothing of that, because if you've seen Rob Rage, he's not running away from a belt. He is definitely not. So, he basically gets into a fight with the tag team champions, just Rob Rage alone, and he kicks the crap out of him. And Jay Moore hits one of the tag champs with the belt. The tag champs leave after getting beaten up. They get helped out. Jay Moore says to, like, he saves the show by saying, "This is why I got Rob Rage." He basically leaves the commentary table, which by all means he should have, because it fit in with the story that was just created out there. It was fast thinking on Jay's behalf, and I thought it was fucking brilliant. So that happened, and it was just Topher Whiteman left all alone to do commentary. And that is a tough job to do, especially when it's your first day at a new company. That is tough to do when you're left all alone and you have to call the action. But he did it. It's on the Crossfire YouTube channel if anyone wants to check out those matches. And so for the next show, Jay was talking to the guy that owns Crossfire Wrestling, and he threw in my name. Told him check out some of my footage. Check out the World Title match from Prophecy of Pain, because that one was up on YouTube on the Neo Wrestling Federation YouTube channel, and see if he likes what I do, and give me a shot. So I get in contact with the owner, thanks to Jay, and that's how I got into Crossfire. Again, huge lucky break on my behalf by one of my friends. Like that's it's crazy. Like I hate to say it, like a lot of people are like, oh, it's all about who you know, and I'm sorry, but that time both wrestling companies, I got in because of who I know, because their opinions are so respected that they're like, you know what, if Jay believes in this guy, if Jackson believes in this guy, there might be something to him, and we can probably use this. So we agreed for me to do the last two shows of the year, Fired Up and Jingle Bell Brawl 3. So we did both those shows, and the first show, it was me just getting to know the roster, getting to know the feuds, getting to know the moves and everything like that, what guys do and everything. So the first show, I'm more of a fact guy. Like, I'm just telling you everything that I know about the guys, that, just so if you're a first-time watcher, you know who this guy is when he's coming to the ring. So we have all that. I was very happy with that show. That show, I thought, like Prophecy of Pain, to that date was my best show that I ever did. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it seemed like every time I did a show, I was just evolving as a commentator, and I really loved that, because like you get to see the progression. That's why I'm airing every match that I've done. It's just just trying to get, just to show the evolution in my commentary and everything, because like, man, I was inexperienced to begin with, and everyone is. It's tough at first, because you don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want to stumble on your words. You don't want to slur. It's tough. It is very tough. And to keep an upbeat, to be energetic, to, just to be entertaining and have a good vibe, it is really tough. And a lot of people don't give commentators credit, especially when you have no script and you're just going off the top of your head and what you see, and you're just trying to explain the story that's going on in the ring. So that was my first Crossfire show. The owner was very pleased. So I was involved for the next show, like I said, because we agreed for me to do the two shows. So time's going by. I'm getting to November of 2014, and Neo Wrestling Federation has their first show since Prophecy of Pain, and Neo has a new look to it. We're in a new location, new style of ring, new set of rules. We go to a round system. At first, I was not a fan of it. Like, at the round system, like the way it was explained to me at first, I was like, oh man, no one wants to see a break during the match. But when Neo put on that show, it fucking paid off. It was amazing. I was so happy to see it. I was so happy to be a part of it. I got to work with a commentator out of New York or out of Buffalo, out of the States, Scotty Bender. It was the first time I ever worked with someone besides Topher Whiteman, and it was good. We had a very good flow together. For two guys that never even had a legitimate conversation with each other, but just sat down and did commentary, you'd think we called a match together for like at least 10 years. It was such a good flow, very relaxing. I loved working with Bender. Scotty Bender was a great guy to work with. He had a good flow to him, very energetic. He called the match, he was into it. And I thought we fed off each other pretty good. And that's another thing that you need. You need that chemistry between a commentator, the two commentators. If they don't have a vibe together, if it's just like just random, it's just like two guys randomly talking, it's going to be terrible. So the reason why I was working with Bender, because he came in, and Topher Whiteman was moved into being one of the round guys. So he'd like interview guys in between rounds, and it was a pretty cool format. Like he was also the MC of the show. He did the opening ceremonies, like, welcome everybody to Neo Wrestling Federation. He was a very good hype guy. He would get you right into that match. He was very, very good at hype. Him and Pro Wrestling Illustrated writer Dan Murphy were doing the in between rounds. It was pretty good. It was a great show to be a part of. It featured a lot of new guys on the Neo roster. It was something new for the fans that we did, and it was very entertaining. I was glad to be a part of that show. I have to tip my hat off to Jesse. I doubted him as an idiot. I don't know why I doubted him, but again, proved why I was just a commentator. But in my opinion, to that point in time, that was the best show I ever called. I was very, very, very pleased with everything that went on. Working with Scotty Bender, constant professional. The guy's a fucking pro. It was great. I enjoyed it, and I hope to work with him again in the future. Because Neil, right now, we haven't done a show since November, but, that's the wrestling business. We're going to hit you back hard because, winters are always tough, especially in Niagara with all the Christmas, the holiday rushes and everything like that. So it gets tough. But speaking of Christmas, now we're getting to December. And this show, you can check it out. It's Crossfire Wrestling, first ever free for view. I came up with that one. It's an FFV because it's free for view. And it's Jingle Bell Brawl 3. Now that show, I am fucking proud as shit to be a part of that one. That show, to me, will go down as possibly one of the funnest shows I've ever called. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I have a big show coming up in March, tomorrow, March 21st. Meltdown. It's going to be at the Scotiabank Center in Niagara Falls. It's going to be very entertaining. But on to Jingle Bell Brawl. Topher Whiteman and myself were calling this match. This was a fun show to do. The main event featured our world champion, longest reigning world champion in Crossfire Wrestling history, by the way, Tomer Shalom, and he was fighting Jeremy Elliott, and not only a world title match, but Jeremy Elliott's career was on the line, and also Jay Moore's managerial career was on the line, and the build for this pay-per-view was amazing. We got a new editor on the show. He put together some great promos and you can see them throughout Jingle Bell Brawl just to add more fuel to the fire for that main event. Just put in that more hype, just so people can know exactly that this feud has been going on for a long time. And at Jingle Bell Brawl, you're going to get some closure. After that night, one career would be done. And if you haven't seen it, check it out because you're missing out if you have not watched that show. It, in my opinion, again, to date, that is the best job I've ever done. I know I keep saying that. I'm not a broken record, but that's just how it is. After each show I do, technically, in my opinion, that is the best one I did. Except for, again, Midsummer's Nightmare 2. Art of War was way better. My first show was better than my second show. But my third show was better than my second. So it just kept getting better. And Jingle Bell Brawl, that main event, it led up to the hype. It also featured Crossfire Wrestling's first ever career match, and also featured the first ever table spot in Crossfire history. So that was huge. It was a great match. Tomer Shalom and Jeremy Elliott. It was great to see. That was like one of our first main events that we didn't bring in an act like a Dan Severin or a Rikishi like we did on the previous shows. This was the first time in a long time that the main event featured homegrown talent from Crossfire, and it fucking delivered. That match, in my opinion, will go down as possibly the best match for Crossfire in 2014. and it could possibly be the best match in Crossfire history. I don't know because I haven't seen every match from Crossfire, but in my opinion, that one is. The card was great. It had up and down, up and down. It had like a good flow to the show. You had the professional Jackson Jarvis fighting Chief of Day. Chief of Day was currently undefeated, so was Jackson Jarvis. So after that show, one streak was over. And I'm not telling you all the winners, so you guys are gonna have to check it all out. But it I was very proud to be a part of that show. And Meltdown that I'm doing tomorrow is that one is going to be very interesting. It's the first time our new editor is taking over. He is also our floor director. I can't wait to see the product that we produce. It is going to be, in my opinion, this is something wrestling fans are going to want to see. And it's also my first time working with a new commentator. He's not new in the business. He's new to me, though, because I've never worked with him. But I've watched him. I watched his work, and so it's almost like as if I know him. I'll be working with Hutch Henrys from VCW. That's Victory Commonwealth Wrestling out of Toronto. He works with infamous Jay Moore. He does play-by-play with Jay Moore. And they're on VCW out of Toronto. They have a show on Rogers Television, which does really damn good in ratings. So if you're ever in the Toronto area, check it out on Rogers TV. Victory Commonwealth Wrestling, VCW. And I'm excited for it. I can't wait to be a part of wrestling history for Crossfire because we're going to be at the Scotiabank Center in Niagara Falls. It is the biggest venue we've ever been at. It's at the Sports Expo, or it's a Sports at Hobby Expo. It's got a good lineup there. It's like some of the guests they have there, wrestling wise, they have Kevin Nash, they have Bret Hart, they have UFC Hall of Famer Dan Severn's going to be there. So like there's some big names there. For your NHL fans, they have like up from the Toronto Maple Leafs, they have Wendell Clark, they have Daryl Sittler. For you baseball fans from the Toronto Blue Jays, they have Cito Gaston, manager that led them to 2 consecutive World Series. I know I'm getting off topic now by naming all the athletes that are going to be there, but it's going to have some people there. I'm predicting that's going to be our biggest show. Like I think probably around 1,000 people will watch Crossfire that day, and I cannot wait to do it. I cannot wait so Niagara Falls can see what Crossfire can do. Right now, it's a challenge for it's not a challenge, but it's going to be fun because this is the first time we've ever been at the Sports Expo actually like performing like with the ring and everything. Like we're putting on a live wrestling show there during it, so it's going to be interesting. I can't wait. And then we have another show in April, so it's basically like 2 shows or 2 different towns in 2 months, which is cool. I'm glad. We're expanding the brand. Getting the name out there for Crossfire Wrestling, and I can't wait. It's 2015, in my opinion. It's going to be a big year for Crossfire. It's going to be a big year for my commentary. So make sure you keep up to date because I am going to be posting stuff. So basically, I got lucky to get in the wrestling industry. I was very lucky because of my friends. I know it's funny, but my friends are the reason why I am where I am today. But it's only because they're well known in the business. Their opinions matter to people. And when they give you their seal of approval, you better fucking deliver. And that's what I've been doing. So basically, if you're interested in becoming a commentator, the best thing you have to do, you have to practice. So if you're ever watching wrestling or whatever, just turn off the sound, record yourself, do play-by-play. Don't just talk about what you see in the ring. Don't be like, all right, here he goes with a body slam. Now he's following up with an elbow drop, and now he's going off the ropes. Big leg drop there. That's just calling it what you see. You have to tell the story in the ring, be like, I'll just do the exact same thing, but I'll do it as if it's like a commentator. Oh, huge body slam there. Oh my God, he almost killed him. Now he's running off the ropes. Huge elbow. Wow. Oh my God. That, just something like that. You got to have energetic, like I'm not a play-by-play guy. I'm the color guy. And just to call off moves, you got to have some emotion. You got to be enthused when you see stuff. You got to call it like you see it, but you also have to believe in what you're saying. Like if someone hits somebody with a vicious clothesline, you got to tell the world that it was the most vicious clothesline you've ever seen. You got to let them know the impact of that move. You got to sell what the wrestlers are doing to the fans that are watching at home. That's what the main thing is. You have to sell what they're watching. It's basically, you got to sell the sizzle to the steak. Because a guy can do an amazing move, like he can bust out like a Michinoku driver or something, but if the commentator's not behind it, it's kind of like watching a match with a dead crowd. It's just, it kind of takes you out of it. It kind of deflates the room. And that's something that you never want to do. You want to stay energetic, in character, call it like you see it. You have some feeling, and that's the best advice I can give you. And if you want to be a heel, this is what you got to do. Not you don't give a shit. You say what you want to say as long as you don't swear, because technically you can't really swear over the air. And honestly, if you're just swearing, that just shows me that you don't really know what to say. If you're just like F this, F that, F, like it's pointless. Like, where's the shock value? Where's the oomph? Where's the if a guy's just gonna say the F word every other time, it's like, why am I even listening to this guy? It's just boring. But those are some tips and stuff like that. That's how I got into the wrestling business. Anyways, if anyone has any questions, just hit it up on the comments. I might make a secondary video because my first show for 2015 is tomorrow, March 21st, and that could start off like a part 2 of this series, maybe like where I can go into detail like how that show went, give my thoughts on the matches and whatever, or my point of views on anything. So hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the like button if you liked it, and if you don't like it, I really don't care, because this is Classic Chris, and I'm signing off. You have a good one.